Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of January 2024. I hope you're well and Happy New Year and all that sort of business. I'm using the Tower of the Abyss for you today. Here it is. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link in the description box. The second link in the description box is to my private community. Once you've joined that, you can access all of the extended content for no extra cost and hang out with a really extraordinary group of people. We've got all sorts of things going on over there at the moment. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that. And the third link in the description box is to overviews that I've done for each of the signs that run from January to March 2024. I very deliberately cut it in half. I usually do 6-month overviews because the astrology of April is absolutely wild, and I wanted to take the time to consider the energy on the run up to that, because it seems to me that there's a lot in terms of positioning and all sorts of things that are happening in those first 3 months. So if that's something that's of interest to you, the link's in the description box. Knock yourself out and all that sort of thing. But let's get on with the business of right now. Let's have 3 cards for Scorpio, please. What's recent past for Scorpio? There we go. I was wondering if that was going to come out at all then. We've got the Queen of Pentacles in your recent past. That's Capricorn energy right there. Tell me about current energy, please. Thank you. We have the Magician turning up sideways. All right. And what's coming towards Scorpio, please, for January? We've got the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands feels a little flashpointy to me at this point, which is something that's kind of borne out by the fact that the Seven of Wands is at the bottom of the deck here too. I mean, this is Mars and Leo right here. There's some fiery energy happening over here. But let's get some clarifiers out before I say any more. I think that's probably a good plan. So tell me about the Queen of Pentacles. What is that here for Scorpio? We have Queen of Wands in reverse. Interesting. Ooh, and the Three of Cups. What about the Magician? What is that here for Scorpio? Page of Pentacles in the reverse. And we have the Nine of Swords and we have the Moon. Okay. And what about the Knight of Wands? Seven of Pentacles in reverse. A lot of reversals for you today. And the Knight of Wands again. Okay, Seven of Swords now at the bottom of this deck. Now, sorry, I'm going to have to fiddle around with these until they're straight, because that's just, it irritates me otherwise. So, this is what we're looking at. And it's actually interesting how much the clarifiers are very much supporting what we've got coming out in the main cards. And the fact that we have these double sevens at the bottom of the deck. The sevens for me, they almost represent a moment in time, right? Where we've moved away from something that we saw in the 6. And the 7 is kind of where we take stock. And it can be quite a thoughtful positioning. I've got triple sevens actually. Or sometimes it can be about getting lost in the soup of something. And I'm wondering if there is a little bit of that going on here for you, because it's quite clear that there's something that you're trying to break out of. But it doesn't look like it's particularly easy. Now, let's start over here and we'll weave all of this together, because I think, as it's going to be for everyone, January is going to be quite a significant month. But we start off in your recent past with the Queen of Pentacles. Now, like I said, that is Capricorn energy right there. And obviously Pluto is just moving over its last degree of Capricorn and is going to be entering Aquarius very, very soon. 21st of January, actually, if you want to stick that in your diaries. But more broadly, the Queen of Pentacles speaks to me of value, right? An understanding of value of things. Now, most often we can apply that to ourselves, where we see the value of ourselves and understand how important it is to nurture and invest in self. You notice here we've got the Queen of Wands in reverse and we've got the Three of Cups. It does rather speak to the possibility that some of you have understood that some perhaps in your social connections are not really showing up with their best face. Let's put it that way. Now, I think that's something for Scorpios. It's almost a constant battle, knowing who you can trust and who you can't. But the Queen of Pentacles here rather seems to be emerging from the group, right? Out of the group dynamic, to stand somewhat alone and go, I'm not really about this anymore. It could well be that you might have seen some sort of fallings out with people over the recent past. And when I talk about recent past, I mean, it could be this morning, but, probably no more than about 6 weeks back. There's a difference in vibe. If the Three of Cups here, which could be equally your family, your friendship group, even work colleagues or something like that. I mean, this to me usually speaks of emotional support networks. The Queen of Wands here, showing up in the reverse, isn't a particularly good position for her to be in. And it seems like the energy of the group is being exemplified by this energy of the Queen of Wands, who, rather than showing up as bold and dynamic and creative and all of those, beautiful, confident things that we associate with the Queen of Wands, is actually just coming across a little bit like a bulldozer. My way or the highway kind of attitude about it. Tell me about this Queen of Wands, please. Now, I don't think that is going to... Five of Cups there, that's a Scorpio card. I don't feel like that is going to be throwing you quite as much as it could be, because you're not really a personality that can be bulldozed. But it's almost like you've tuned in and become aware of how people around you seem to be vibrating at a very different level to you. We've got the Five of Cups there, which you can talk about lots of things. I mean, if essentially it fundamentally boils down to paying too much attention to the wrong thing, right? Focusing on loss and focusing on what one doesn't have versus what one does. And you see how almost immediately that sets Scorpio apart from what's going on in here, because you're like, I'm not focusing on what I've lost. I want to focus on investing in myself and nurturing myself. And, self-care is something that comes up a lot with the Queen of Pentacles. But truly, fundamentally understanding the value of what you bring versus perhaps what you're getting back in return. And we've got that Eight of Wands. Now, that can talk about communication. I often talk about it in terms of almost like an amplifying energy or a speeding up energy too. And it can speak to messages coming in very, very quickly. But if we just look at the imagery of this card, there's a storm here. There's a storm coming. And I do feel like most Scorpios have really had to set their mind on what is right for them, what holds value for them, and whether they are really part of this anymore. And like I said, this could be all sorts of things. It could be family, it could be friends. I mean, we've just come out of the holiday season, and we do sometimes end up getting thrust together with people that we might not necessarily choose to spend time with if we were not related by blood, right? But there's a completely different vibe between you and what has, up until this point, been something that has at least functioned like an emotional network on the surface, if not below. There's a pretty arsey quality about this Queen of Wands. It's Aries energy, right? So when you think about some of the less enjoyable traits of Aries, bulldozer, my way or the highway, we'll have to do everything my way. It's that sort of energy. But it seems to have been co-opted by the group, right? Supported by the group. And there's a sense of indignation here. It feels like the Queen of Pentacles is kind of like, God, is this what it is? I can't deal with this anymore. I need to separate myself from this. Like I said, it's not a cutting and chopping energy with you here, Scorpio, like it might have been in the past. It's like a gently extricating yourself to take yourself away from it, because you don't want any part of whatever shitstorm that is there. Now, when we move into your current energy, we have the Magician showing up sideways, and that feels really uncomfortable, because the Magician in the upright is a powerful card of manifestation. It's a powerful card of being able to create whatever kind of life you want for yourself. It's an awareness that you are a powerful being who has everything that they need in order to create whatever it is that they want, but it's showing up sideways. Now, if it were to show up that way, I would be concerned that some of you were being manipulated. But the fact that it's come up like that, which is probably making tarot readers all over the world cringe in horror, but I do read them that way around, because I think everything that happens at the table is part of the reading. It feels like kind of almost there, but not quite. Right, we've got hold of the Magician energy, but it's not expressing itself as fully as it could do. There's something that is sitting in the way of this here, of you really making contact with and being the lightning rod for this bigger cosmic energy that you are a part of. And self-doubt does seem to be coming into it somewhere. We've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse, which suggests to me that you're having trouble identifying what your value is right now. Although there's something that's triggered a move away from this group, this set of people. I mean, it could be a situation that is characterized by the feelings of the Queen of Wands in reverse, or the Five of Cups, which is a Scorpio card there, actually. Rather than a set of individual people. But this really does scream self-doubt. I don't understand the value of anything. I'm not really in a position to be able to start creating something. And then you've got, going along with it, the Nine of Swords and the Moon. The Nine of Swords is an indication that perhaps perspective has been lost somewhere. Something deep has kicked in, right? I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to move away from this. But there's this difficulty in trying to initiate something that exemplifies what it was you were feeling back here. It's just not getting off the ground. It feels like a really frustrating energy, so close and yet so far, because the mind is getting in the way. The way that I read the Moon, which is a card of Cancer, and I should just say that is Gemini or Virgo, because it's ruled by Mercury, whichever. But it's energetic rather than sign driven at this point. The Moon for me is the things that are hidden, right? That's the received wisdom of the Moon card. So for me, it's talking about your subconscious, your non-conscious, your unconscious, however you want to put it. It's the bit of your mind that doesn't sort of break the water very often. It's the bit that's underneath that we don't get exposed to. And we've got this crayfish down here, right? Coming out of the pond, representing the deepest, darkest part of you. And then we've got a dog and a wolf, representing the tame and the wild part, right? So we've got the idea of polarity starting to break in here. And a sort of, almost like a dreamlike quality. Where the Moon is concerned, nothing is quite straightforward. Nothing is obvious. Nothing is lit up in the same way that it is when the sun is involved. And it's not a surprise to see the Nine of Swords coming along with that, because the loss of perspective is almost built into the Moon card there. That seems to be leaving you feeling like you're so close and yet so far. Sort of energy with the Magician here. And the question is, how the fuck do we do something about it? What is it that's getting in the way? What is it that's stopping us from being that manifesting being that we want to be? And I think the problem for you here is that you don't know what the problem is, Scorpio, if I'm honest. With those sevens at the bottom of the deck, Two of Wands is in reverse here. 10 of Cups is in reverse here. It feels like there's something breaking down. There's almost like a surreal quality to where you are right now. When we talk about the Two of Wands as a tipping point, right? Sometimes we talk about it in terms of a crossroads where we're trying to decide which way we're going to go, this way or that way. When it shows up in the reverse like that, quite often the way that I look at it is that you don't feel like you have a choice. You're being kind of shoved along by circumstances. And the Ten of Cups is in reverse as well, which is kind of adding to this feeling that I was getting about here. You feel to me to be a bit lost at the moment, Scorpio. It's almost like you've lost all of the anchor points by which you have defined yourself up until this point, right? And I mean, it could be a loose definition. It doesn't have to be I am this and only this. But the people around you, of which the Three of Cups and the Ten of Cups we both talk about, right? With whom there is some sort of emotional bond. So it's less likely to be your work colleagues and more likely to be people who are much closer to you and part of your, emotional network. This is showing up in the reverse. It means that the people that are characterized by the Ten of Cups for you are not showing up in a healthy state. They're not showing up in a state that feels emotionally fulfilling for you. You don't feel like you're a part of something that means something or matters. Almost like, I don't think it's that you don't think that you matter, because we've got the Queen of Pentacles there, right? There's something going on underneath here that says, yes, I do matter. But it's the way that your circumstances seem to be breaking down somewhat. It's causing this self-doubt. It's causing this anxiety. There's a complete lack of clarity here for you, which is making it really difficult for you to be able to kind of plant yourself and be like, this is where I am, this is what I am. Or plant yourself is actually probably a good term, and we're looking at the Magician there because he's literally a tree. All right, grounding yourself to something that you can hold on to and opening yourself up to the energies of the universe coming through. There's something getting in the way. And like I said, I do feel that it is because stuff is breaking down around you. And there's something new here that is trying to emerge, but as yet it is very unclear. And the moon would say it's very unclear. Let's get another card for the moon. Oh, Lord. It's the moon again. But this time the moon is in the reverse, which means that unveiling is coming, right? The revelation is coming. And interestingly enough, we have the Justice card at the bottom of the deck. So however confused you are at the moment, it's almost like you're supposed to be there, Scorpio. You're supposed to be questioning everything, and you're supposed to be somewhat cast adrift. Because remember, what your superpower is being able to thrive in chaos. And it's because you can find yourself within there. For whatever reason, that ability isn't quite as at the fore as it usually would be for you. Things are changing around you. Stuff is breaking down. And somewhere in the middle of it all, you need to find yourself again. And it's coming. It will definitely be coming because we've got the moon in reverse there, right? Whatever the issue is that is having you feeling cast adrift will be cleared up very, very soon. Because when we move into January, we've got the Knight of Wands twice. This is an energy of adventure and excitement and, very, very now driven as well. Like being here right now. There is nothing more real than you as you are right here, right now. And I do feel like there's an awareness of that coming in because we've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. One of 3 sevens, like I said, that we've got on the table. Now, this way round, this Seven of Pentacles, this dude leaning on his hoe, is something is wrong with my situation and I'm not really fucking sure what it is. He's got a disappointed look on his face because whatever harvest he was hoping to get from this pentacle bush right here isn't actually going to happen. And what he's trying to decide here is the right course of action moving forwards, right? We've already established that you feel somewhat like events are overtaking you and things are breaking down, and there isn't really much that you can do to change that in any meaningful sense. But with the mind being focused to you right here, right now, making contact with yourself again, this card is showing up in the reverse. And that says to me, you know what is wrong. And if you know what is wrong, then you know how to fix it, right? We've got that revelation with the moon reversed here. And then we've got this present, very here, very now, energy of the Knight of Wands, who's saying there is opportunity in the chaos. There is freedom in the chaos. It's like whatever you've been getting worried about or upset about here with this Nine of Swords, whatever it is that's been causing you a level of anxiety, it's because you become fixated on what is breaking down, what is being lost. Which makes me feel like that Five of Cups actually belongs to you there, right? You become absolutely lost in that. What you have not seen is the corresponding opportunity, freedom and liberation that has come with this shift. And when you do, I feel like you'll stop fighting it quite so much. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles, please. We've got the Star card and we've got the Knight of Wands again. Holy crap. Right, the Knight of Wands is all over this. Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, can you see all of these sevens supporting? I think 7 is quite a Scorpionic number. It's got shades of Aquarius about it as well, but it's quite a Scorpio number. We have the indication sometimes with the Seven of Swords that, right, we're living in a fantasy world, right? We've got literally castles in the sky being built here, where we allow ourselves to get just kind of swept away by flights of fancy, right? But the flip card, the flip side of this energy, and there is always a flip side to all the cards on the table here, is it's about taking a risk. It's about sometimes being bold enough to do something differently, right? Sometimes it's a card of strategy or tactics or something like that. But really is about taking a risk, about putting yourself out there. Now, the Knight of Wands showing up 3 times is a card of putting yourself out there in whatever sense that applies for you, because we're rectifying what it is that is not right about your environment. Something about even with the Pentacles being as they are, where all your attention and energy has been going, because the Star card is reorienting you to something that is happening in the future. It is your future, not the future that was, or even the present that was, but something that is new for you and open. The overwhelming feeling that I've got over here, Scorpio, is that you're focusing on the cost, right? It's on the loss. It's what's going. It's what's not here for you in the way that you want it to be. And how much that seems to be having you spinning. In January, everything's flipping. I don't have the same, for example, the same responsibilities as I did before. Maybe we could see this being work, we could see this being all sorts of things, right? I don't have as many hours at work, but that does mean that I've got more hours to do something that I'm more interested in, right? Or something that in the long term, I might like to make a business or something like that, right? We see how that would be work-related stuff. It could be that you've got a desire to travel and all of a sudden you've got the space to be able to do that. You know, there's a big push here to overhaul your life in some sort of way, but it's coming in the best tradition of these things by way of discomfort. A Seven of Wands is fighting for something, fighting against something sometimes. It's Mars in Leo, right? It's very action oriented. The question is, what are you going to do? What risks are you going to take in order to fix a situation that is less than optimal for you right now? I would like to say that it's a comfortable transition, but I really don't think that it is. Because what is breaking down has been too important up until this point. And maybe part of the problem is that you have defined yourself by what was. And as it is breaking down, you're like, well, fuck, what does that mean about who I am and what I stand for and, you know, how I even spend my time day to day? This is a liberating energy of saying it's time to do something completely different and lean into what you are best at, which is reinvention. But in order to do that, you have to be aware of what it is that is holding you back and be prepared to take the bull by the horns when the opportunities arise. Now, whether you consider it to be, whether you consider it to be a situation whereby we manifest our own opportunities, or just being in the mindset of thinking about opportunities makes you more alert to them as they pass by you. It doesn't really matter because the end result is the same. It's the shift of focus. Where it's been off here, it's aligning much more with this. We've got fucking horses. I mean, look at this. Knight of Wands is, the horse is implied in that one. But we've got him there. We've got the Star card there with a horse on. We've got a horse on the Seven of Swords. There's a lot of movement here. But if you're focused on the fact that you've lost your anchor points and that makes you sad, you're missing the point, which is that you can now move in a way that you could not move before. I mean, for some of you, this might be actually like a literal physical relocation. I can go and work somewhere else. I can go move to another country. I can move house. I could move into something more manageable, something that has more land, something like that, right? There's this opportunistic vibe to this. It could be that, for some of you, maybe your children are moving out and, suddenly you don't have kids at home anymore and you've got more free time because, fucking hell, kids take up a lot of resources and mental energy. What I'm trying to get at here is this shift in perspective is the most important thing that is going to happen to you in January. Yes, there is a cost, but if we stop focusing on the cost and see what the benefit is of the situation as it is reordering itself around you, or maybe just dissolving and breaking down, then we can see that there is opportunity here. And I would really strongly advocate for the month of January that it is that reorientation to looking for the benefits in the situation. This might be a good month, actually, Scorpio, for just starting off the day with writing down 5 things that you're grateful for, right? Get the brain thinking about something else other than what it is that you feel like you have lost over here, All right. I'm going to go over to the extended now, so you're very welcome to join me on Circle or on Vimeo, whichever you prefer. And we'll dig into this a little bit more because I think there's quite a lot of layers to this. And I'd like to have a dig around in them. So, yes, I shall leave it here. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.